Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're mapping out a truly fascinating journey. We're going to take the cutting-edge, highly technical flaws found in today's artificial intelligence, and get this, we're going to trace those exact same informational principles all the way back to the ancient philosophy of human purpose. It's an absolutely incredible intellectual bridge, and the source material we're digging into today makes a highly compelling case connecting these two seemingly completely distant worlds. So, to kick things off, let's look at a fundamental question that really challenges the utopian claims of artificial general intelligence. It's so easy to look at the rapid advancements in tech right now and just assume humans are on the brink of becoming obsolete, right? That we're building these machines that'll simply achieve liftoff and leave us in the dust. But according to the research we're exploring today, AI actually has a deeply ingrained dependency. So, can it survive without us? Well, as we're about to see, the answer is a resounding no. Here's our path today, moving from the micro to the macro. First, AI and model collapse. Then, the conservation of information. Third, two stories of reality. And finally, finding purpose and joy. Let's jump right in. Starting with Section 1, AI and model collapse, looking specifically at the dependence of large language models. Right now, researchers are grappling with a bizarre phenomenon known as model collapse. This is a surprising devolution of AI output that happens when the system lacks continuous human correction. The source explains that, sure, while AI is absolutely amazing at querying massive datasets written by actual humans and spitting back coherent answers, a major problem pops up when you create a closed loop. If you take the AI's output and feed it directly back into the system as new training data for the next iteration, well, the coherence completely breaks down. Let's actually trace that collapse path. Step 1, human conscious input. Step 2, the AI generates a coherent response. Pretty standard, right? But at Step 3, when the AI begins to feed exclusively on its own artificial output, the whole system rapidly descends. Without an input of conscious human intelligence to correct things, the source notes the AI will literally spit out pure gibberish within just a few generations. It's basically a massive accumulation of errors. So the really crucial point here, according to the source, is that AI is fundamentally asymmetrical. The AI is entirely dependent on conscious human agents for meaning. Think about it. The human agent doesn't need the AI to produce genuine meaning, but the AI absolutely needs the human. Both the initial input and any subsequent error correction simply must come from an active intellect. Because of this baked-in dependency, the source argues that the whole utopian dream of an independent artificial general intelligence, it's heavily flawed. The mind simply will not be replaced by a machine. Moving on to Section 2, the conservation of information, where we shift from computer algorithms to origin-of-life biology. Now, the speaker in our source material draws a fascinating direct parallel between the tech world and the biological world. In origin-of-life research, there's this concept called an error catastrophe. When simulating things like cellular metabolism, models showed that with every single cycle, there was a loss of information. Without a conscious agent there to guide or correct the process, the biological models just ended up accumulating genetic gibberish. Sound familiar? It is exactly the same loss of meaning and coherence that we literally just saw with AI model collapse. The source argues that this perfectly highlights a key principle of intelligent design known as the conservation of information. This principle basically states that functional or specified information in any system will inevitably degrade over time unless a conscious agent actively steps in to input new information or fix the errors. The source strongly claims that nature simply does not create or maintain complex information on its own, and, as we saw, neither do computers. Conscious intelligence is strictly required, no exceptions. That brings us to Section 3, two stories of reality. We're looking at cosmic insignificance versus an intended creation. To really understand the weight of this, the explainer contrasts two entirely distinct views of reality. First up, we have the materialistic story, famously championed by astronomers like Carl Sagan. As you can see from the quote, this worldview sees humans as mere mites on a plum located in some obscure, insignificant galaxy. The materialistic story basically argues that humans are essentially an accidental byproduct of a vast, unguided, and completely purposeless universe. When you look up at the night sky, this view tells you that you are fundamentally insignificant. But side by side with that, we see a totally different framework. On the right, the speaker outlines the argument for intelligent design. Instead of seeing our position in the cosmos as a reason to feel insignificant, this view looks at the informational programming at the very foundation of physics and biology. The exact kind of information we just discussed that absolutely requires a conscious agent. The source posits that this reveals a finely tuned universe and a master programmer, suggesting humans are actually an intended outcome, not just some cosmic accident.
Under this intelligent design framework, the source makes a pretty bold claim. We are the outcome of a careful plan. The speaker states that there is absolutely nothing anti-scientific about affirming that the Earth was progressively prepared for humans, the birds of the air, and the fish of the sea to inhabit it. The argument here is that if the universe exhibits a master programming that necessitates a mind, then it's a demonstrable fact that we were intended to be here all along.
And that leads us to our final stop, Section 4. Finding purpose and joy. This is about applying that cosmic intent to our daily human life. To explain how this applies to us personally, the speaker reaches way back into ancient philosophy, relying on Aristotle's concept of teleology, or entelechy. This is the profound idea that absolutely everything was made with a specific purpose, or an end goal, in mind. Think about it. If the universe was designed, then it naturally follows that you were designed. And if you were designed, there is a specific calling, a unique purpose that you were built to fulfill. The source highlights this concept beautifully using a famous quote from the 1980s film Chariots of Fire. The Scottish runner in the film explains his intense drive by saying, "And when I run, I feel his pleasure." The speaker argues that when you discern your own entelechy, when you actually find the thing you were uniquely designed to do, and you cooperate with that design, it brings a profound, almost transcendent sense of joy and alignment. You're operating exactly as the programmer intended. Now, this framework actually gets incredibly practical. Embracing your intended design isn't just for those massive, life-altering vocational moments. The source argues that this perspective makes your entire world make sense. It brings deep joy and pleasure, sure, but it also gives profound meaning to highly ordinary work. Whether you're actively working in your specific dream vocation, or you're just standing in your kitchen chopping carrots, or even if you're stuck sitting in bumper-to-bumper rush hour traffic, understanding that you are part of a designed reality provides a real sense of peace. It allows you to serve and bless others because you start to recognize the inherent value in your everyday actions.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. We've journeyed all the way from the cascading failures of artificial intelligence without human guidance to the biological necessity of an intelligent agent, straight through to a cosmic worldview that suggests you are deeply intended. So, based on this framework of a designed reality, what is your entelechy? In a finely tuned universe, what is the specific thing you were uniquely designed to do?